It is with literature as with law or empire. An established name is an estate, in tenure, or a throne in possession. It is clear that a poem may be improperly brief. Undue brevity degenerates into mere epigrammatism. A very short poem, while now and then producing a brilliant or vivid, never produces a profound or enduring effect. There must be the steady pressing down of the stamp upon the wax. Literature is the most noble of professions. In fact, it is about the only one fit for a man. For my own part, there is no seducing me from the path. I am actuated by an ambition which I believe to be an honorable one, the ambition of serving the great cause of truth, while endeavoring to forward the literature of the country. With me, poetry has been not a purpose, but a passion, and the passions should be held in reverence. They must not, they cannot at will be excited, with an eye to the paltry compensations, or the more paltry commendations, of mankind. Beauty is the sole legitimate province of the poem. How many good books suffer neglect through the inefficiency of their beginnings? In reading some books we occupy ourselves chiefly with the thoughts of the author, in perusing others, exclusively with our own. Music, when combined with a pleasurable idea, is poetry. Music without the idea is simply music. The idea without the music is prose from its very definitiveness. A poem deserves its title only inasmuch as it excites, by elevating the soul. There are certain themes of which the interest is all-absorbing, but which are too entirely horrible for the purposes of legitimate fiction. Words have no power to impress the mind without the exquisite horror of their reality. The death of a beautiful woman is, unquestionably, the most poetical topic in the world. To die laughing must be the most glorious of all glorious deaths. The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and where the other begins? Come, let the burial rite be read, the funeral song be sung, an anthem for the queenliest dead that ever died so young, a dirge for her the doubly dead in that she died so young. Thank heaven, the crisis, the danger is past, and the lingering illness is over at last, and the fever called living is conquered at last. The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and where the other begins? Those who dream by day are cognizant of many things which escape those who dream only by night. It is by no means an irrational fancy that, in a future existence, we shall look upon what we think our present existence as a dream. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. Rousing from the most profound of slumbers, we break the gossamer web of some dream. Yet in a second afterward, so frail may that web have been, we remember not that we have dreamed. We loved with a love that was more than love, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. There is something in the unselfish and self-sacrificing love of a brute, which goes directly to the heart of him who has had frequent occasion to test the paltry friendship and gossamer fidelity of mere man. Because I feel that, in the heavens above, the angels, whispering to one another, confined among their burning terms of love, none so devotional as that of mother. The most natural, and, consequently, the truest and most intense of the human affections are those which rise in the heart as if by electric sympathy. I was never really insane except upon occasions where my heart was touched. That which you mistake for madness is but an over-acuteness of the senses. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled, whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. I was never really insane, except on occasions where my heart was touched. It was a freak of fancy in my friend, to be enamored of the night for her own sake, and into this bizarrerie, as into all his others, I quietly fell, giving myself up to his wild whims with a perfect abandon. Either the memory of past bliss is the anguish of to-day, or the agonies which shall have their origin in the ecstasies which might have been. If you wish to forget anything on the spot, make a note that this thing is to be remembered. That man is not truly brave who is afraid either to seem or to be, when it suits him, a coward. Beauty of whatever kind, in its supreme development, invariably excites the sensitive soul to tears. The true genius shudders at incompleteness, imperfection, and usually prefers silence to saying the something which is not everything that should be said. Whether people grow fat by joking, or whether there is something in fat itself which predisposes to a joke, I have never been quite able to determine. We should bear in mind that, in general, it is the object of our newspapers rather to create a sensation, to make a point, than to further the cause of truth.